Okay, to start off our report, let's take a quick tour on the history of birth control pills. Throughout history, no drug has caused more controversy than the pill. The pill, a slang term for birth control pills, has been in debate for the past 50 plus years since its discovery. In the late 1930s, it was demonstrated in animal experiments that high doses of progesterone could stop ovulation, and subsequently, in the late 1940s, Dr. Carl Gerasi, a chemist, synthesized progestin from Mexican wild yam extract, which is now one of the main ingredients of birth control pills. After all of this, hormonal birth control was in the grasp of humankind. In many places, contraceptives were still considered as taboo, especially in a conservative period of the 1950s. Also, it was common for birth control pills to be illegal in this time period and was first prescribed to only married women for menstrual regulation and not for contraception. As time moved on, these pills had a large impact in our society. The right to access the pill helped spark women empowerment movements across the 1970s, and the pro choice movement helped women take control of their lives and also helped broaden their horizons, especially in terms of education and in the workplace. Safe contraception would also not have been possible without the efforts of both the scientists to discover the drug and their respective women activists. Moving on to the mechanism of birth control pills. Basically, the main mechanism of action of birth control pills is to prevent ovulation through hormonal changes, which most likely will lead to the prevention of pregnancy. So that's the basic mechanism. The in-depth mechanism will be further discussed by my partner later on in this presentation.
When it comes to birth control pills, there are two known versions of birth control pills, namely the combined pill and the mini pill. Now, the combined pill contains the hormones estrogen and progestin. Progestin is a synthetically man-made version of the hormone progesterone. While in mini pill, there's only progestin as its hormone. Now I'm gonna go through how it works of each of these pills, the combined pill and the mini pill. So I'm gonna go first with the combined pill mechanism. So for ovulation to occur, an egg must be fully developed and released by the ovary. The hormones responsible for the development and release of an egg cell are the FSH and LH, respectively. Follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone are released by the pituitary gland upon receiving a signal from the hypothalamus. Now, the signal hormone is gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH. The hypothalamus releases GnRH when it detects low estrogen levels in the body. Now, the role of birth control pills is to supply a steady level of synthetic estrogen and progestin in the body. If these levels are steady, the hypothalamus doesn't release GnRH to the pituitary gland, which in turn doesn't release FSH and LH. Now, ultimately, an egg will not be developed and released for the sperm to fertilize. Now, the main mechanism or the main prevention mechanism of combined pill is to prevent ovulation. Well, what it also does is to thicken the cervix and to thin out the uterine lining, but that's not its main mechanism. The main mechanism is the prevention of ovulation. Now, in some cases, women cannot tolerate the levels of estrogen that enters their body when they take combined pill mechanism. When they take in combined pills, so they turn to mini pills, which is progestin-only pills. Now, the mini pill has certain mechanisms also that prevents ovulation, but that's not its main mechanism. What it mainly does is to thicken the cervix and to thin out the uterine lining. Now, for when the mini pill does this, for the thickening of the cervix, so during the first half of the menstrual cycle, estrogen causes the cervical mucus to be thinner, clearer, and more alkaline. This allows free passage of the sperm through the cervix to the uterine cavity. Now, after this brief period, the secretion of progesterone causes the mucus to become thick, white, and opaque. viscosity and leukocyte content is increased as well. Because of this, the sperm is unable to penetrate. So what the mini pill does is to act to promote the thickening of the cervix. Now also, it promotes the thinning out of the uterine lining, since progestin is the hormone responsible for the thinning of the uterine lining. With the uterine lining being too thin, the fertilized egg will not take hold and will be discarded along with the uterine lining during menstruation. So, with taking these pills, there are possible side effects. So, the possible side effects that usually last only for the first 3 months include breast tenderness, headaches, irregular bleeding, and nausea. Some women also experience changes in their sex drive. Now, rare but serious health risks include blood clots, heart attack, stroke, increased blood pressure, liver, tumors, gallstones, and jaundice. Women who are over 35 and smoke are at a greater risk for some of these problems. Now, to conclude, the two types of birth control pills are the combined pill and the mini pill. Now, the main mechanism of the combined pill is to inhibit ovulation, and its secondary function is to thicken the cervix and to thin out the uterine lining. Two previously mentioned functions are the main mechanisms for the mini pill, which is to thicken the cervix and to thin out the uterine lining. Well, it also inhibits ovulation, but the two functions are the main mechanisms for the mini pill. So that is our vlog or report. So thank you for listening.